Okay, good to see everybody. Let's come to a nice, tall, comfortable seat. You can scoot forward in your chair just a little. You're really on those sit bones. Peek down at your feet. Make sure that they're about hips distance apart. And as we often do before we sit quietly for a moment, just give the shoulders a little roll out. And just letting the day so far just roll off your back. Maybe noticing those crunches you might be getting. Maybe they're not there today. I don't know if I've ever had a day like that yet, but one day. All right, and then you can roll forward a few times. And then roll back again. Find that idea of shoulder heads just rolling back, releasing down your spine, shoulder blades gently squeezing in towards each other. You can take your hands on your thighs here. Allow your eyelids to close. Smooth, full, deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Again, smooth, full, deep inhale. Sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then just a few more times like that at your pace. And eventually you're going to allow your lips to seal. You're going to start to find your Ujjayi breath. So you're going to inhale through your nose. And then also exhale through your nose. And you're going to continue like that. Perhaps you're constricting the sides of your throat, so you're finding your Ujjayi breath, that inhale and exhale, kind of making that sound of ocean waves rolling in and out. As much as possible, you're letting your attention land on that sound of your breath. Every time your attention wanders, you smile to yourself, you come back to your breath. You might have to do that 1,000 times. Do a little check-in with your shoulders here. Have they started to get a little tense? Are they creeping up towards your ears? If so, just soften them down. Make sure that you're lengthening the back of your neck, so that might require a little bit of a tuck of the chin, just slightly. Good. From here, gently blink your eyes open and let's just start to make some circles in the pelvic girdle. You can start out small, they can be big. It's kind of intuiting what feels good in your body right now. Just observing how this movement feels, where you're getting sensation. I tend to feel a lot in like the lower back, even the outer hip area. What's going on for you? You can get the shoulders involved any amount. Mostly you're just trying to let this feel really fluid. All right, so from here we can start to switch directions. Nice work. And slowly you're going to make these circles a little smaller, start to feel that shift of weight from sit bone to sit bone. Eventually landing back in your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Do a little check of the feet, so just making sure knees are over your ankles, legs are about hip distance apart. And from here, let's segue into our cat-cow. So as you inhale, you're rocking forward on your sit bones, you're arching a lot in your lumbar spine. As you exhale, you move in the opposite direction. So you're rounding in. You're going to especially feel that in the thoracic or the upper spine. And then you continue like this. So just finding this extension and flexion of the spine, warming it up. Cat-cow is like a great little thing to do several times throughout each day. So you can think of this as your yoga homework, especially if you've been like sitting for a long time. Usually feels pretty good. We also start to find this idea of vinyasa. Vinyasa happens anytime we connect specific movement with the breath. So in this case, it's pretty simple. But you'll notice that it does have this like calming quality, this meditative quality. Feels good to find this rhythm in our bodies. As you continue here a little bit longer, you can just keep moving like this, hands on thighs. If you wanted to add arms stretching forward, you can play with that variation as well. And always feel free to try variation. If it's not working, you just modify as necessary. You go back to the place that you were right before. And always just remembering that every time we practice, we feel a little different. There's different things going on. So just because we did something our last yoga practice doesn't mean that it's going to happen today or that it's going to feel the same. That's okay. So there's a lot of variance. Things are always going to feel a little different. And we create space for that. If you're still alternating, you want to play with extending both arms forward. So finish up on that left side. Maybe you find that reaching forward helps you to find a little more extension in your spine, that arching feeling in the lower back. Good. So if you're alternating, just finish up on your left side. If you're doing both arms, just do a couple more. Really nice. And then we just come back to a nice tall seat, mountain pose, and just notice how you're feeling already. So with just a little bit of movement, maybe it feels like you're sitting a little taller than you were when we started. Let's get into some hip work right away, and then we'll also do some of our neck stretching with this. So a couple of options. Option one would be to just find external rotation. So opening up this right leg any amount. The one thing that you want to be mindful of is, again, just keeping that knee over your ankle. But again, it doesn't really matter how far you go. You could also, if it's available, take this right ankle and just cross it above your left knee. So they're both good. They're both getting into similar areas. They're going to be slightly different. So you could even try out both and see which is giving you kind of like the best stretch today. If you are getting any knee sensation, especially in this variation that I'm doing right now with the ankle crossed over the thigh, or knee rather, just make sure that you're flexing your foot a little bit. That will help to engage the muscles around this knee. And then we'll just take several rounds of breath here in this initial shape. So not feeling like you need to do anything else at this point, but just paying attention to how this feels in your hip, in your glute, your hamstring. Keeping that breath smooth and steady. So reconnecting to that sound of your Ujjayi breath again. And then as we continue to find this hip stretching, go ahead and drop your chin towards your chest. So we start to stretch into the back of the neck a little bit as well. And it might kind of be a toss up in your body where you're feeling more sensation. Do a little check-in with your shoulders. Make sure they're not creeping up towards your ears here. But just visualize that somebody's just gently pressing down on your shoulders. And then keeping your chin tucked, let's just make that little quarter turn to the right. Going nice and slow. You're taking several breaths to get there. You're kind of pausing in any places that feel interesting, where you might be getting some intensity or a deep stretch. You can take a few breaths there. And then with that right ear leaning towards that right shoulder, you start to feel some sensation on the left side of your neck. Send your breath to this side. Good. From here, let's keep the chin tucked, but just drop back to the center. And shoulder blades releasing down your back, chin dropping towards your chest. Couple of breaths back here in the middle. And then the same thing, but going off to the left this time. So chin stays tucked. You keep several breaths, or you take several breaths rather, as you lean that left ear towards your left shoulder. And perhaps it does feel a little different than when we are just sitting in a simple Tadasana doing this. So we've also got the hip stretch going on. Maybe that changes the mechanics of this right side. I'm finding that it feels a little more intense in the neck with my legs like this than it might otherwise. And shoulders just gently releasing down. Good, go ahead and exhale. Drop back to center. And then let's inhale, lift our chin parallel to the floor. Take an exhale here. And then inhale, bring the arms out wide. As you exhale, you are going to twist to the right and then just release your hands down. So finding a twist with the hip stretch. Left hand can come anywhere on this shin. For some of us, it might come to the outside of that right thigh. Wherever you're at, you're just getting a little leverage. If you're in this variation, you might actually have your left hand on the inside of your left thigh. So just know that you can always play around, see what works best for your body in each shape. Several good breaths here. You might be moving towards bringing your gaze out over that right shoulder. Take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, come back to center. And then from here, let's take a little forward fold. So I should have mentioned it before. If you have blocks handy, you could always use those. They just bring the floor a little bit closer. You could also use a desk in front of you or a chair in front of you. You might use none of the above. Just kind of slide your hands down your thighs. And you're folding in any amount. So as you do this, you're going to feel a little more sensation again in those outer hips. So this just intensifies things. You don't have to fold in very deep at all. It's going to look different for all of us. Do you feel as though you can let the back of your neck lengthen and release? It's like the chin is dropping towards your chest. And then return to that rhythm of your breath, that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Good, and then from here, is just go ahead and slowly start to roll on up. So stacking your vertebrae on top of each other from the bottom to the top. You might feel like you get a little bit of a head rush as you come out of this. Nice work. And then we'll take all of that to the second side. So coming back to Tadasana, and of course, you can always do everything from this position if that works better for you. It's fine if the second side looks different than the first side. So options, find a little external hip rotation. Doesn't matter how much you open up this left leg. We are just looking for knee over ankle alignment. Another choice would be to cross this left ankle above that right knee. And then just in this initial shape, taking several breaths, paying attention to how things are feeling, maybe just noticing how this side feels different than the other side. Usually there's one hip that's, significantly tighter than the other, not always. That can bounce day to day. Backing out a little bit if you need to, if there's a lot of sensation. So we're here for a little bit. You have the opportunity to let things open up. And the breath again, smooth and steady. You're inhaling through your nose, you're exhaling through your nose. And then as we continue to stretch into this hip, I'm going to just add a little And a little more neck stretching. So again, chin drops towards your chest. So then here, maybe this is starting to feel a little easier. That being said, neck does a lot. It's pretty tight. And then taking your time, several rounds of breath to get there. Chin stays tucked, but you start to make that quarter turn to the left. And just feeling free to pause in those places where you're getting some interesting sensation and breathe into those spots. Good, nice and slow. Just reverse course. Come back to center. Hang out here a few breaths. Do a little check-in with your shoulders. Make sure that they're not creeping up around your ears. And then starting to bring your right ear towards your right shoulder. Keeping that chin tucked. Pausing in those spots where you're getting some good sensation. Just noticing the stretch that's happening. Perhaps even enjoying the stretch that's happening. Good. Coming back to center here. And then as you inhale, you'll lift your chin parallel to the floor. Take an exhale. And then we find our twist. So you can inhale, take the arms out wide. And then exhale, twisting to the left. So really extending, and then go ahead and release your hands down. And again, a lot of places where this right hand in particular might fall. And a lot of that is going to depend upon the shape that your legs are taking. It's going to depend on just how twisting feels in your body today. Try to keep those shoulder blades releasing down, shoulder heads pressing back a little bit, so you're getting that lift of your sternum. There is a sense of cobra pose in our upper body in this pose. You might move towards bringing your gaze out of your left shoulder. Good, deep inhale. Exhale, unwind here. And then we find our forward fold again. So using a table, a chair in front of you, doesn't matter how deep you fold in, especially with leg crossed over like this definitely intensifies that hip stretch. Hands can be resting on your thighs, hands can be resting on blocks. Keep that breath moving, especially if this is really intense. And then from here, just use your hands to help you roll on up. Nice work. You can come back to your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Let's do a little more twisting and a little more forward folding here. So this time, instead of with the hips externally rotated or one hip externally rotated, we're going to keep both hips neutral. So kind of more of a pyramid pose or a humble crescent pose. So option one, stay just in your Tadasana legs. If you would like to extend your left leg to straight, you are welcome to do so. Legs are about hips distance apart. Let's go ahead and release the arms by our sides. And just classic crescent pose here as you inhale, arms reach out and up. Few breaths here. Imagine that somebody is holding you by your wrist, just gently tractioning you up. Maybe you're bringing your gaze up. Maybe you're feeling that sense of cobra in your upper body as your sternum lifts up towards the ceiling. Good. As you exhale, take the arms out wide. Nice deep inhale here. You're gathering the shoulder blades in towards each other. And then as we exhale, again, we twist to the right and then just release, hands down. It doesn't matter where this left hand falls. It's going to be determined by how your spine is feeling, how twisting feels for you. Try to keep the shoulders out of your ears. Try to keep the breath smooth and steady. It's particularly challenging to fill up on the inhale when we're in a twist. Just be cognizant of that. Nice, smooth, full, deep inhale. As you exhale, you unravel, come back to center. And then again here, we start to hinge forward, folding in. So this is going to go into the hamstring a lot more, especially if this left leg is extended to straight. If it feels too intense, you can bend that knee a little bit and back out of the forward fold a little bit. So you're always feeling free to play around, modify as needed. Sometimes less is more. Maybe you're just letting your chin drop towards your chest. And then in this forward fold, if you wanted to, perhaps you find a little twist. So you kind of walk your hands off to the right, and that can feel really nice. You kind of get a good little stretch in this lower left quadrant of your torso. You can start to make your way back to center if you're not there already. And then a couple of options in terms of coming out of this. So again, you can kind of just keep your spine nice and rounded. You can slowly roll up. If you wanted to find a little extension, so lengthening through the sides of your waist, and then maybe you bring hands to hips. Keep your spine nice and long so you're using a little core. And then press up, very nice. Good, you might get a little head rush coming out of that forward fold. That left leg is extended, go ahead and bend your knee. And we'll do that sequence to the second side. So staying here, this works from Tadasana. Maybe you extend your right leg to straight. So feeling both sit bones pressing down, hip bones are facing forward, so our hips are neutral. As you inhale, take the arms out and up. So we just visit our classic crescent pose for a few breaths here. Imagine that somebody is holding you up by your wrists. Feel that lift of your sternum. Maybe you're feeling that lift of your gaze. Maybe you're even bringing your gaze up, pressing palms. Good, deep inhale. And then as you exhale, you can release your arms off to the sides. Take another deep inhale here. And then exhale, twisting to the left. Releasing hands down, so finding a little leverage. Trying to keep those shoulders out of your ears, but you're pressing your shoulder heads back. Feeling that lift of your sternum. Perhaps moving towards bringing your gaze out over your left shoulder. Good, smooth, full deep inhale. As you exhale, unwind, come to center. And then we find our forward fold here. So starting to fold on in, hands can be resting on thighs. They could be on a wall in front of you, chair, a desk. Again, you're going to feel some intensity behind your right knee, the hamstring, especially if that leg is extended. A little bend in the knee will take some of that work out if it feels like too much. Backing out of the forward fold will also accomplish the same thing. And then you can just visualize your exhale going to the belly of that right hamstring, that big muscle that gets really tight. And so your breath is just opening the muscle up. It's finding, creating some space. Good, and then finally here, if you would like to find that little twist, you can walk our hands off to the left. So you start to feel a little more intensity of stretching down in that lower right quadrant. I think it feels great. It's a place we don't get to very often. Good, you can walk your arms back to center. Then again, a couple of options coming out of this. You can roll out if that feels better, just stacking vertebrae on top of each other. You want to engage your core a little bit, hands come to outer hips. You lengthen through the sides of your waist. And then use a little core to help you press on up. We find our Tadasana pose, mountain pose again. And then just a little flow here before we come into some breath work. So just simple lateral stretching, which we did a little bit with our twisting, but it'll feel a little more intense, a little more opening here. So as you inhale, side bend off to the right, that left arm can come up and over. Exhale, release down. And then inhale, right arm up and over. Beautiful, exhale, release. So you're just gonna continue like this, nice and simple. But you're finding a pace that feels good for you. You can speed it up a little bit if you're feeling a little lethargic, a little tired, feeling a little anxious, like there's a lot to get done. Maybe you're slowing things down. Whatever you're doing, you're letting this feel really fluid and graceful. Finding more and more space in your side body. Let's do a few more to each side. The next time you are side bending off to the right, just hold there a few breaths. Shoulder blades releasing down your back. Maybe gazing up underneath that top arm. These right ribs are gently rolling up towards the ceiling. Good. And exhale, release. Inhale, right arm comes up and over. Left shoulder blade releases down your back. Put a little more weight, a little more emphasis on that right sit bone. Perhaps gazing up underneath that top arm, rolling these left ribs up towards the ceiling. Good, exhale, release down. Let's just move into a little of our Viloma I breath. So our 3-part breathing. For whatever reason this doesn't work for you today, you can do box breath. You can just simply sit quietly. Otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and come to a nice, tall, comfortable, easy seat. Allow your eyelids to close. Smooth, full, deep inhale through your nose. Full, complete exhale through your nose. Empty out. And feel the lower belly pull in and up. A little pause at the bottom. Inhale 1/3 of the way up to your belly button. Pause. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up, so just below those floating ribs. Pause the breath. Inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. Feel that lift of your sternum even as your shoulder blades are releasing down your back. Pause. And then turn the breath around. Exhale through your nose. Just a couple of simple recovery breaths when you reach the bottom. And letting that go. We'll do another round or two together. So full, smooth, deep inhale. And complete exhale. Inhale 1/3 of the way up. Pause. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Pause the breath. Inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. And then slowly exhale the air out through your nose. Recovery breaths when you reach the bottom. A deep inhale together. Full, complete exhale. Inhale 1/3 of the way up. Pause. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Pause the breath. Final inhale all the way up. Fullest breath. And exhale the air out through your nose. And then I invite you to do 2 more rounds of that Viloma breath on your own if you feel up to it. Otherwise, you can start to move to your Shavasana. And there's no rush, but when you're complete with your Viloma 1 breath, you do move towards some semblance of a resting pose. So nothing may change in your body. You may stay exactly where you're at, but the feeling tone is going to be different. If it helps you to feel more restful, you could come into a supported child's pose. So just taking a forward fold, resting your head on a table or a chair in front of you. You could always come into classic Shavasana on the floor. Wherever you're at, give yourself permission not to worry about anything just yet. So you're going to soak up these final few moments that we have together. Just be still and quiet, receptive. Asato ma satgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Mrityo ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Next inhale is deeper. You can open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. And then just bringing some gentle movement back to your body, whatever that looks like. Eventually landing with your hands in a pile on top of your heart. And sending yourself love and gratitude, your body love and gratitude. We send each other love and gratitude. Promise yourself that you're going to carry this good feeling you've worked so hard to create with you into the rest of the day. Finally, just bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today. Thank you.